everyone. I'd like to call to order the September 20th regular council meeting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. And the moment of silence, please remember Childhood Cancer Awareness Week coming up this week. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Jackie, could you please call the roll?
Yes, Mayor. Mayor Evans?
Here.
Vice Mayor Russell?
Here.
Mr. Mitchell?
Here.
Ms. Cooper?
Here.
Mr. Redmond?
Present.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Here. And do I have a motion to adopt the special council meetings from September 6th? So move.
Second.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Ms. Cooper?
Yes.
Ms. Russell?
Yes.
Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Abstain.
Ms. Evans?
Yes. And a motion to approve and adopt the regular meeting proceedings from September 6th.
So move.
Second.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Ms. Cooper?
Yes.
Ms. Russell?
Yes.
Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Abstain.
Ms. Evans?
Yes. And Jackie, do we have correspondence?
Yes, we do, Mayor. I have correspondence from Councilmember Ted Haskins on 9/13/22. I hereby resign my position as city council member effective immediately.
Do I have a motion to accept his resignation?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Ms. Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Evans?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Russell?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Thank you.
And next on the agenda are our interviews for the city council vacant seat. So our procedure will kind of be to call each person up. You'll have like 3 to 5 minutes to state kind of why you're interested in becoming a city council person. You should have been given 3 questions. Did everybody get those that's applying for the spot? So these are the 3 questions. Maybe if you can address these in your answer. It says city council requires a significant time commitment, usually 2 to 4 meetings a month, as well as reading prep prior to meetings and other public events. How will this fit in with your other commitments? What previous community involvement have you had in Milford or any other community? And then based on what you know about city government, what do you see as top priorities for the city and why? If you'd address those when you come up. I don't have my list in front of me. You have the list? I don't have the list. Oh, they're there. Thank you. So first on the list is Mark Thompson.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Evening.
Mark Thompson, 504 Hudson Avenue. I've lived in Milford for 13 years. Grew up in Miami Township, so I've been around the community for quite a while. I have a lot of family that does live in the community. Plenty of time to commit. I'm a lieutenant for Milford Community Fire Department. Work 24-hour shifts, so daytime meetings and stuff like that. I'm very able to make. Previous community involvement, I'm commander at the Sons of the American Legion, Post 450 here in Milford. I'm also a member of the Milford Kiwanis Club and Milford Firefighters Club and Stone Lake Township Firefighters Club. So quite a bit of community involvement. Based on what I know, city government, I know parking on Main Street here is a big issue. Storm sewers, infrastructure, it's stuff that needs to really looked at and improved on. Roads. Just want to, enjoy giving back to my community and feel this would be a good way to do it.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? Everybody good? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and I have Don Moss. Welcome.
How are you?
Good.
Good evening, everyone. Hi. Don Moss, 238 Cleveland Avenue, retired military. I've spent my entire life trying to be of service to my community and my country. This is just another opportunity. And know this is an opening. I am in the enviable position of being double retired. So retired military, my wife is retired military, sold a business in Florida before we moved here 5 years ago. So I do have time between shuttling back and forth my 9-year-old to gymnastics and soccer, which as parents know can take up a bit of your time. But she has been willing to part with me for the period that needed to fill the council seat. Community involvement, I helped with the revision of the charter as well as several fundraisers throughout the town in the last couple of years prior to COVID and now since. And then I would follow up with Mark as well as far as just responsible development. I know that we are in a good position where we are getting a number of businesses here, which will draw more people. Parking is going to be an issue. And also, how do we keep that small town feel for Milford without expanding beyond our capacity and still driving revenue?
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks. Next is Tammy Will.
Hello, everyone. I live at 111 Gatch Street, and I have lived here for 22 years. And I remember the first time I visited this place, I was visiting someone on Mound, and I said, I want to buy a house here. I loved the alleys and the sidewalks, but besides me loving my neighborhood and streets specifically, I bought a house. I rented on Hudson and then bought one over here, and I've loved both of those neighborhoods. But I have absolute no problem committing to 2 to 4 meetings or doing whatever you guys need as far as time commitment. My previous community involvements here, last year I was in the Milford's Citizens Police Academy, which I absolutely love, and it's going on now. So if you missed out, sign up next year. It's awesome. I was a Girl Scout leader, started volunteering with one troop, and then I opened up another troop with my youngest girl. We went from Daisies, which is kindergarten, all the way up to junior high when finally it got down to 3 girls and they petered out. So that was fun. Also volunteered in other Milford community events over the years, you know, cleanup, Saturdays, that cleanup stuff. And I'm sure there's some other things I'm forgetting because I'm nervous, but let's see. And based on city government, what do I think top priority? The same thing that everyone thinks. Well, I love growth, and I'm happy. I'm definitely motivated. I think we should be happy that we're growing. It's good for everybody. We see new construction. The price point on High Street's super fabulous. The community coming in. I like seeing those high dollars. It's also good for us, right, with our properties. I love the fact that I bought my house. It was $100,000. Now it's worth $200,000. So yay me. Secondly, I just don't have an agenda. If you guys know me, I love to volunteer. I do a lot of stuff with other things like my real estate as being a realtor. So I volunteered. I was on the board there. I was the chairman of the CE committee where I kind of helped coordinate classes for realtors that actually live in and around Milford, Cincinnati, and Hamilton, Warren County. So we had to have a class a month, and I coordinated that. So that's kind of something that was fun and I was committed to doing for years. Other than that, I think I'm good to go here.
All right, thank you
Thanks.
very
Thank
much.
you.
Thanks, Tammy. And we have Susan Gates. Welcome.
My name is Susan Gates, you already said that, and I live at 811 Center Street, so literally 5 doors down. We renovated a 1929 bungalow, completely did the whole thing, and really enjoying living here. We've been here for 5 years now. I work full-time as an interior designer for Huber Homes. I've been there for 33 years. I think some of the things that I have to offer might be a little bit different because I've been in construction for so many years. I was also part of the revitalization of OTR. We did over 50 projects in the city, so I worked directly with City Council. I worked directly with Historic down there. I did a lot of that, the projects I did, I was a lead designer, so I had to work with Historic with exterior colors and materials and get it all approved and make sure everything fit well with the city. So that was probably one of the biggest things I did, along with some work in the city of Montgomery for a retirement village. So those are some of the things that I have that I think I could maybe help with here. Previous committee involvement, I'm still active with Art Affair, so I'm on the Art Affair committee, which is going to be Saturday, I hope everybody knows. So, yeah, that, and also with the home tour that we just had last fall, or spring, sorry, I did that too, and also with the Claremont County Boys and Girls Club. I was very active with that when it was in New Richmond, and then they moved, but I did a lot of work with them as well. So I think as far as what I think would help with the city here would be just communication. I know with what I did with OTR, I did a lot of meetings with the residents there and got to hear their concerns about growth and who are you people coming in here and taking our properties and redoing them. So I think communication is probably one of the big things that I see I would like to work with.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Susan. And Christopher Parrish. Welcome.
Everyone. Christopher Parrish, 1 Paisley Drive up in Tree Ridge. Long-term resident of Miami Township, Milford, longtime appreciator of the fair city. I've got, excuse me, I've got 2 daughters at the high school right now, and really love living here. This isn't actually my first time coming up for an opening. I was here in 2019 when Ed Brady resigned his spot. He's actually the one that got me interested in city council locally and has been kind of encouraging me and kind of pushed me a little bit into this spot as well. So as far as the time commitment, I'm finishing up an MBA in the fall, and I think if I don't find something to do, my wife might kill me. So if you actually could help us out, that would be really good. Or if you know anyone else in the audience that has something I could do 2 to 4 times a month, that would be great. My work schedule too during the day, I work for a nonprofit hybrid schedule. It's very flexible. I would be able to attend daytime meetings, do prep as needed. And my daytime job is kind of what leads me into my community activity. I'm currently the purchasing manager for the Cincinnati Hamilton County Community Action Agency. So they run the Head Start School District for Cincinnati. They also provide job training to low-income families, food pantries, rental assistance, you name it, we probably have a program for it. So I'm involved in all of the making sure we're compliant with government funding, RFPs and RFQs. We're building a building coming up soon, so I'm familiar with that process from kind of a bureaucratic standpoint as well. And I really think that experience would lend itself well to council, especially with all the things that we have going on. Not to sound like a broken record, but you know, what are the most important things and top priorities for city government right now? We've done a great job developing, right? We've got Cincinnati Distilling and Nation Kitchen getting ready to open up. We've got, you know, the housing thing going on over on Garfield and all those things. Just continuing to kind of steward those developments through. The park is super exciting. Parking, I'm sure everybody can agree. We've expanded to the point where I really hope all of these places are jam-packed every weekend, but I'm still not entirely sure where everybody's going to park. So, you know, I'd like to see that move forward as well. You know, I love living here. I'm here for the long term. My kids are here. I really want to help continue to make this into a place that someday maybe they'll want to come back to after college and raise their families here. So thank you very much for your time.
All right, thank you very much. I can tell we're going to have a very hard decision because we have wonderful candidates. So the procedure will be that at the next council meeting, we will vote. We'll have like a nomination. Someone can nominate someone, and then we will take a vote at that meeting. That way everyone can process everything and think about what they want to do. So, any other questions about that? All right, that takes us to the next thing on the agenda, which are our proclamations. The first proclamation, I'm just going to read it from up here because the people could not be here tonight. But this week from September 25th to October 1st is Childhood Cancer Awareness Week. So it says, whereas the American Cancer Fund for Children and Kids Cancer Connection report cancer is the leading cause of death by disease among U.S. children between infancy and age 15. This tragic disease is detected in nearly 16,000 of our country's young people each and every year. And whereas 1 in 5 of our nation's children loses his or her battle with cancer, many infants, children, and teens will suffer from long-term effects of comprehensive treatment, including secondary cancers. An estimated 400,000 children and adolescents are diagnosed with cancer globally each year. And whereas founded nearly 30 years ago by Stephen Firestein, a member of the philanthropic Max Factor Cosmetics family, the American Cancer Fund for Children, Inc., and the Kids Cancer Connection, Inc., along with Lions Club International, are dedicated to helping those children and their families. And whereas the Cancer Fund, American Cancer Fund for Children and Kids Cancer Connection provide a variety of vital patient psychosocial services to children undergoing cancer treatment at Nationwide Children's Hospital in Columbus, Cincinnati Children's Hospital Medical Center, Dayton Children's Hospital, Shriners Children's Ohio and Dayton, as well as participating hospitals throughout the country, thereby enhancing the quality of life for these children and their families. And whereas the American Cancer Fund for Children and Kids Cancer Connection also sponsor toy distributions, family sailing programs, pet-assisted therapy, Laughter Noon, Laughter is Healing, KCC Supercar Experience, positive appearance programs, and hospital celebrations in honor of a child's determination and bravery to fight the battle against childhood cancer. Now, therefore, I, Lisa Evans, on behalf of my colleagues on the Milford City Council, and by the virtue of authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Milford, do by declare the week of September 25th to October 1st as Childhood Cancer Awareness Week, and do urge the citizens of the city of Milford to raise awareness for the vital cause. So that's a very good cause to acknowledge. And our second proclamation, I know we have some guests here, excuse me, so if they'll join me at the podium for their proclamation, which is the First United Methodist Church. Hello again. How are you? Good, how are you? Good. You want it right here? Yeah, right here. Come on up. Yeah, there I am. Can I take this?
Yeah,
You can take it off.
pop it right out.
You're better at that than me. You're used to the microphone. So I was very lucky last Sunday to attend a service at the Methodist Church here in Milford. They did a community service with Calgary Methodist Church and Trinity Methodist Church, and they raised the roof with their singing. It was a beautiful service, very inspiring. But they are celebrating, and that's why I attended, their 225 years of Methodist Church kind of here in Milford, I guess. So I have a proclamation to read for them. It says, from the office of mayor, whereas it was 225 years ago that a small band of Methodist Christians, led by Reverend Francis McCormick, settled in what would become Milford, Ohio, and whereas Milford First United Methodist Church had its beginnings in 1797 when Francis McCormick preached his first-class meeting at his log cabin on the site in the wilderness inside the Northwest Territory, of which was not yet Milford nor Claremont County. And whereas, with the addition of the Family Life Center, a columbarium, and daycare preschool, the facility has seen growth throughout 3 centuries. And whereas Milford First United Methodist Church continues to cherish their history, more importantly, their faith and determination to be a church for all God's people, which has grown with the size of the building. Now, therefore, I, Lisa Evans, on behalf of my colleagues on the Milford City Council, and by the virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Milford, hereby recognize and join you in celebration this historic milestone, 225 years of Methodism in Milford. So congratulations again, and thank you so much for having me attend. Your service was beautiful. And one of our guests, Mrs. Snell, you have a family member on the wall back here, right? And you were you said you were a descendant of that original Methodist log cabin up on the hill. So a lot of connections, and a grandson who's a Milford police officer. So lots of connections to Milford in our history. So would you like to say something?
Joyce was actually there in 1797. She's just a kid. I do appreciate your joining with us. It's rare to be somewhere before the somewhere was even a state, and that's how long we've been here. The people I come from, though, were here before all the rest of you, and we were encouraged to move to Indiana. Yeah. So anyway, thank you very much, Mayor, and God bless you all.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming, and you're welcome to leave if you don't want to stay for the rest of the meeting. Now to the more boring part of the meeting. We have a motion to receive the August 2022 finance report.
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Redmond,
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain,
Yes.
Ms. Evans,
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
Ms. Cooper,
Yes.
Ms. Russell.
Yes.
All right, and this is our public comment section. Would anyone from the public like to come up and make a comment?
Hi, yes, and I have some handouts.
Okay. When you go back, will you state your name and address just for the record? Thank you.
Yes.
Sorry.
My name is Jan Wolker. I lived in Milford and Miami Township. I'm retired from Milford Schools. When we lived down here, we loved it. We wouldn't have moved except we had high schoolers and that were in band, and we didn't want to run up and down 131. So we actually moved up to Miami Township. So all my life I've lived in either Milford or Miami Township. And about, I'd say 25 years ago, I helped start the beautification task force that we did for a while. Some of the beginning trash days we worked on. And I just like Milford, and I love the flowers that Loiseau does. I did call Loiseau's and tell them how beautiful they were.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
Yeah, and how nice it is, too, that they spread it. We also helped do the original banners on the street signs, and now I know they're out on the Parkway that didn't
Okay.
exist when I was here a long time ago. But anyway, I love Milford. I love Miami Township. I'm here today because I just have an idea. We were traveling this summer, and one of the places we went, and I put a card. We have a camper, and these are our camper cards that you give to people, just so you know who came up to the podium here. But if you look at the first picture, we happened to go to Clifty Falls, Madison, Indiana, and I saw something I thought was just great, and I enclosed the sign and what it was. It's a comfort station, which I don't know. I'd never seen that before, and people went there. Obviously, it's a restroom, but also inside, they had a map of the city, what things were on the streets. They also had brochures that businesses put in there, local attractions, and I just thought, man, Milford needs something like that, because where do you go to the restroom if you're not at a restaurant, but if you're at the shops downtown? I don't know anything about who owns or what's happening with the bank down there near 20 Bricks, but I'm thinking, man, that would be a perfect place for something like that, or for Old Milford, and then for New Milford or the newer area. I don't know who owns the gas station across from Skyline, but I thought that would be perfect. Anyway, just an idea. And so I saw it, I thought it, and then I didn't think anything about coming to council and telling anybody until I saw two more. So you'll see the next one is Mackinac Island we went to, and they had a beautiful comfort station, and I didn't take a picture of their visitor center, but their visitor center was right outside of this, where, because they didn't have the brochure area, was right outside this if you wanted to get some information. But the place that really knocked my socks off when we went there was the Traverse City, Michigan. We went to their front street, which is like our main street. They had a visitor center with a comfort station. It's on their website, and I put that on the back. I clipped it to the back. The hours that they had their restrooms open, a little bit different on a couple days. But they also, on their front street, which I thought was magnificent, if you look at the picture behind that, they had a no public restroom sign, which isn't very welcoming on the door, but right above that is a paper with a map that says where public restrooms are located, which was perfect because we weren't from that area and we didn't know, but we found the visitor center, and that was really nice. And then the third picture I just thought was really great is also on their front street, along their poles. They happened to have pictures of what Main Street looked like from where you were standing, or their front street looked
Great
like.
idea.
And I just thought, for history and stuff,
Yeah.
that's really awesome. And so that is my idea, and I just thought I'd give it a shot.
Yeah, thank you, and the signs
Yeah.
are beautiful. We've talked about needing some new wayfinding signs and things downtown, so, yeah,
Well,
thank you
and
for
we
this
just-
information.
We need restrooms.
Yes.
Can you clarify something for me? What would you say the difference between a visitor center and a comfort station is?
The comfort station was typically right in the middle of Main Street, like in Madison and up in Mackinac. The visitor center was a little off Main. It was on the end of their front street, which is like our Main Street. I'm sure they had other offices in, but the Mackinac one and the Madison one were strictly just restrooms with an area for a map to show where you are and, where the other businesses are, and to put brochures or attractions, where attractions were. Anyway.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your time. Great
Why
suggestions.
can't we have that, you
Yeah.
know? I mean,
Exactly, yeah.
Thank you.
Great ideas, thank you.
Thanks, Jan.
Love your business card.
Yes. Anybody else like to make a comment? Hello, welcome.
Hi, I'm Maria Carey. I actually live in Union Township, 4664 Rustic Way, but I work at 906 Main here at the Promont Museum. So I'm the executive director of the Milford Historical Society, and I just wanted to come and kind of remind everyone that Art Affair is this Saturday, a very exciting day for Milford. And I also wanted to just extend my appreciation for the city's support, both financial and just engaging and helping us out and really being a part of promoting it. So thank you so much. And I'm honored to be here on this historic night of honoring the Methodist Church. So it's good
Yes,
timing. And
yes.
Marty wants to say a few words too. Marty's chair of the Art Affair Committee.
I'm Marty Kleinfelder, and I now live in Miami Township, 202 St. Andrews Circle, Milford. I just want to add, Joyce is here, and you can always volunteer. We're always looking for more volunteers. We're having our Art Affair Eve on Friday night, and she's helping out, and she'll be on the street with us on Saturday also. So we greatly appreciate the citizens of the city, the city council, and everyone in the city for all they've done for us. But thank you. Please join us at some point on Saturday.
Yeah, thank you for putting the event on. It brings lots of people to Milford, so that's an exciting day. So thank you. Anybody else liking to make a comment? All right, that takes us to standing committee reports. Vice Mayor Russell, Administrative Services.
Oh, it's my turn. Oh. All right. We had the Administrative Service Committee meeting held on September 16th. Present was myself, Lisa Evans, and Kim Chamberlain. City Manager Michael Doss, Finance Director Pat Worthland, Executive Assistant Jackie Bain. No visitors. We adopted the proceedings from the previous meeting. Then we started a discussion regarding Law Director Service Agreement. Mr. Doss discussed a proposed Law Director Service Agreement with the committee. This would be naming Brian E. Pacheco with Dinsmore and Scholl, LLP, as the new Law Director. The terms of this agreement were reviewed with the committee. This agreement will become effective September 20th, 2022, upon passage approval. This agreement ends on December 31st, 2022. This will help gauge how much work they will be doing for the city, and will also give us a bit of a snapshot of how much work they will be doing from a budget standpoint. At the end of this agreement, we will come back to the committee to look into a more long-term contract. Mr. Doss suggested a 2-year contract starting with next year. So the committee agreed to recommend that staff draft an ordinance appointing Brian E. Pacheco as Law Director for the City of Milford and authorizing an agreement with Densmore and Scholl, LLP, for the legal services associated with the Law Director.
Second.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Ms. Russell?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Ms. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Ms. Cooper?
Yes.
Next, we jumped into discussing the medical marijuana revenue sharing agreement. Mr. Doss reviewed and discussed this proposed host community agreement for the setting of a medical marijuana dispensary within the city of Milford. This property is located at 401 River's Edge. The company is Cascade Southern, LLC. We received information regarding an agreement that was modeled after an agreement that Columbia Township formed with their dispensaries. The township was able to negotiate what could be classified as a community impact fee. They receive a certain percentage of dispensaries' gross sales operations. They claim to bring in $500,000 each year from this dispensary. We do have an agreement structured at 1.5% for every dollar of the dispensary's operation gross sales. Mr. Doss reviewed terms of the agreement with the committee members, including how Cascade Southern wanted us to identify how some of the money could be appropriated. Payments to the city to be made January 15th of each year, starting in 2024. Cascade Southern hopes to be in operation by the early part of next year. The committee agreed to recommend that staff draft an ordinance authorizing a host community agreement with Cascade Southern Ohio LLC for the sitting of a marijuana dispensary and establishment of a community impact fee.
Second?
Ms. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mr. Redmond,
I recuse myself.
Ms. Russell,
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain,
Yes.
Ms. Evans.
Yes.
And finally, we had a discussion on the longevity for non-union employees. Mr. Doss discussed that longevity pay has been a past practice with collective bargaining groups, specifically with AFSCME. We have tried to mimic the same policies for non-union employees. One item Mr. Doss brought to the committee's attention deals with longevity pay. Mr. Doss reviewed the current longevity pay in Section 5.18 of the Employee Handbook for the non-union employees. He is proposing to pay what AFSCME union employees are currently receiving and trying to keep things as equal as possible. We have staff that will be retiring in the next few years, and we want to be able to retain employees and recruit some. Longevity rewards employees that have been here for a long period of time. So then the committee agreed to recommend that staff draft an ordinance amending Section 5.18 of the City of Milford Personnel Policy and Procedure Manual, categorized as longevity pay for non-collective bargaining employees.
Second?
Ms. Evans,
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain,
Yes.
Mr. Redmond,
Yes.
Ms. Russell,
Yes.
Ms. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell.
Yes.
So there being no further business, then the meeting was adjourned at 4:47.
All right, thank you very much. Next, we can read the report from up here.
Yeah,
Fire-
it's
Chief
nice.
Mills.
Thank you, Mayor. So the August monthly report is in front of council members, but for the record, in terms of training, Officer Fannin attended an OPATA report writing class. Officer Dennis attended her monthly dive team training. Some notable occurrences, I'll give you by squad, a couple per squad. Squad 1 officers responded for a structure fire at 923 Mohawk and subsequently charged 2 subjects with arson. Squad 1 officers responded for a suspicious person at Sem Haven and subsequently arrested a suspect wanted by the Cincinnati Police Department for 8 indecent exposure warrants. On Squad 2, they handled an extensive death investigation on Clark Street, locating the next of kin and coordinating with animal control for assistance. That same squad also identified juveniles that were responsible for at least 4 vandalism offenses in South Milford. The victims all agreed to an informal resolution in those cases. Squad 3 officers responded for a theft of a bicycle where the suspect was later located and charged, and the bicycle was returned to the victim. That same shift also investigated a shoplifting incident at Roads, Rivers, and Trails, where the suspect was identified the same day through Facebook and was subsequently charged with theft. Squad 3 officers also addressed a disturbance initiated by a camper at Terrell Park. The subject was picked up by a family member and his camping privileges were revoked. Squad 4 officers responded for an unknown trouble complaint. The investigation led to 2 subjects being cited for sex-related offenses. The complaint was due to a prostitute attempting to obtain $150 from her client. Self-admissions and text messages were recorded to substantiate the offense. And lastly, Squad 4 officers located a subject that had called the suicide hotline. The crisis intervention team responded and officers provided transportation to Claremont Mercy Hospital. In lighter news, Sergeant Lane coordinated with the Milford School officials to get key card access for all of the officers to Patterson Elementary School. Some community relations items. Our National Night Out was held on August 2nd and was another huge hit. You may have noticed on social media that Officer Eschman supported the Young Entrepreneurs Lemonade Stand. I was honored to be the guest speaker at the University of Cincinnati Police Academy graduation ceremony. Myself and Officer Kenny participated in the Oktoberfest chicken dance. It went viral. And some more crime prevention numbers. Officers conducted 18 hours of bicycle and Segway patrol throughout the month. They performed 8 vacation house checks, issued 32 cop watch forms, and conducted 409 directed patrols. Some meetings and associations. I attended a meeting at the Fairfield Township Police Department to assist the Butler County Chiefs of Police in implementing a county-wide awards banquet similar to the one that we have here in Claremont. I also attended the quarterly meeting of the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council and the annual meeting of the Milford Police Community Partnership. I attended the planning for this year's Driven Project, which will take place this Sunday, leaving Weiler Family Automotive at 401 Milford Parkway around 9:30. If you recall, this is the parade for these children from Children's Hospital. It will last about 2 hours. It travels to Union Terminal and the Ronald McDonald House and then concludes back here around 11:45. Please don't go to Weiler. That's closed just for the event, but you can show your support by being along the parade route and just showing these kids some support as the parade goes by. And lastly, I had the privilege of meeting again with my high school hero, defensive back David Fulcher of the Cincinnati Bengals, and some members of the Claremont County Sheriff's Office to discuss Mr. Fulcher's mentoring program called MANA, Mentoring Against Negative Actions. We're hoping to get that program implemented in the Claremont County Jail. That
Thank you.
concludes my report.
All right, very busy month.
It was, yes.
All right, Fire and EMS, Chief Baird. Hello.
Hello. Good evening, everyone. I sent Jackie the original monthly report, and I sat back there and found a typo in it. So I'm not going to hand it out. I'll send you a new one to replace the one I sent earlier and put yours in your mailbox. So I apologize for not having something in front of you, but I'm not going to put bad work in front of you. A few things going on. A lot of good news on the FEMA grant front in the last few weeks. First off, we were one of 6 co-recipients of a regional FEMA Assistance to Firefighters grant of $220,454, and that is part of, you've heard me speaking about our Leadership Academy that we're doing in conjunction with Loveland Sims, Goshen, Blue Ash, Madeira Indian Hill, and the City of Mason, sending employees through advanced leadership classes customized to our group. And this grant will allow us to train up to 48 individuals from among those 6 departments in several areas, including that Leadership Academy, which I've been speaking about quite a bit, as well as people going to the Ohio Fire Executive Program, which is probably the top fire service executive program in the state. Very widely recognized and very beneficial to especially our senior managers, our chief officers, as well as a number of other fire officer classes. Our local cost will be estimated somewhere between $3,000 or $4,000, so we'll share equally in the $220,000 for that training. In addition to that, I am absolutely ecstatic because we were awarded as a department a FEMA Assistance to Firefighters grant in the amount of $160,214 to purchase 21 new self-contained breathing apparatus and accessories, as well as replacement masks for the SCBAs for all of our firefighters. We will have a local contribution of just over $8,000 or 5% of that project for a total project cost of $168,225. The importance of that grant especially is the fact that our current self-contained breathing apparatus, which was purchased in 2011, number one, has a 15-year lifespan by federal law because of the type of cylinders, composite cylinders, the tanks that are on their backs. They have a solid 15-year lifespan. So obviously that's coming up in 2026. But secondly, our equipment is becoming used and abused. So we take great care of it. We spend a tremendous amount of money in repairs and preventative maintenance, but we use the stuff a lot during training. And given the fact that it has since the very beginning been a maintenance problem for the department, we are glad to be able to move past those hopefully within the next year. So that was just an incredible thing for us to accomplish, and the kudos for that grant go to District Chief Thiel, who is responsible for the grant, the FEMA grants in our department. That is not an easy get. They fund that program somewhere between $300 to $500 million a year. Those are direct to community grants. So in other words, the Assistance to Firefighters grant in FEMA does not go through the state as most of the other FEMA grants do, but instead we apply, and the other departments apply directly to the FEMA program. The program is scored, the grant applications are scored by peers that FEMA brings in to do that. And so it's really very gratifying that we've been able to obtain that. So much
Good
needed.
job.
Yes,
much
thank
needed.
you very much
Yes,
for all
that's
that
awesome.
work.
We also, while we're at it, received a grant from the Ohio Bureau of Workers' Compensation for $4,491.67 to purchase 31 additional sets of firefighting gloves and 20 firefighting hoods. We'll have a match of just under $900 for that. The importance of that equipment is that we received that same grant from the Ohio Bureau of Workers' Compensation a year ago to purchase new gloves and hoods for every member of the department, because the equipment that we purchased has the proper barriers in it to help prevent carcinogens from traveling across so easily across the skin and into the body. As you can imagine, especially in modern construction, the amount of carcinogens that are in what is burning, not only just house fires, but dumpster fires, vehicle fires, all the routine stuff, are very high, and cancer among firefighters has been identified as one of the high risk and high priority areas to address. And so thank you to the Ohio Bureau of Workers' Compensation for making that available. Duke Energy Foundation awarded the department a $2,500 local impact grant as its contribution to a partnership we have with it, between it, Milford Community Fire Department itself, and the Community Firefighters Club to complete a $5,000 rope rescue project. The Community Firefighters Club and the department itself will contribute $2,500 towards the project, and that is to continue to build our rope rescue equipment. We had a situation a couple of months ago involving a kayaker who became ill on the Little Miami River, and to safely remove the kayaker up the hillside. That was the first time since we've really made a great investment in our equipment, in that particular equipment, that we really put it to good use. And we're averaging 2 to 3 of those a year. So it's really great to have that equipment available to us. And thank you to Duke Energy Foundation and Chad Schaefer, their local government representative, for making that available. We filled a vacant career position, and it came from within. I'm proud to announce that our former cadet and current, and just very previously part-time firefighter Rylan Childs was promoted to the career position, and he began work Sunday. He'll be completing paramedic school. Well, he's in it now. He'll complete it in late 2023, and that brings us back up to full staffing among our career staff at 18 people. We satisfied the $184,000 loan that we took out in 2021 to complete the ambulance remounting project. That was 3.5 years early, and plans are underway to take the next truck to be refurbished, get that done as quickly as we can. We were told chassis are 2 years out, so we're going to be waiting for a while. Fortunately, the truck is in fairly good mechanical shape, so we should be okay. Participated in a number of things that Chief Mills commented on, so I'm not going to go over that anymore. But finally, on the Mohawk Trail fire that Chief Mills referred to, we want to thank our mutual aid neighbors, our mutual aid partners, Miami Township, Union Township, Terrace Park, and Loveland Sims. I think I've told you, we very much depend on our neighbors, and our neighbors depend on us to amass the proper and safe amount of firefighters on the scene of structure fires and the more significant incidents. And it just is a credit to and a benefit to our community, and a credit to those departments who can see the vision of doing the right thing at the right time and for the right reasons. And I will tell you in closing, that is not the case in many parts of the country. In many parts of the country, law enforcement and fire don't enjoy the relationships that our department does, and law enforcement agencies and fire and EMS agencies neighboring each other in many parts of the country do not enjoy the relationships that we do. And so our citizens benefit from those kind of good, positive relationships. So, any questions for me? I wanted to see if I could stay up here as long as Jamie.
You're doing a good job.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you on behalf of council and the taxpayers, residents, for making good use of our money and applying for all those grants. I know it's a lot of work,
Thank you.
but thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that brings us to council comments. One thing I want to discuss was kind of reshuffling some of our committees. We need, since Ted is gone, we need someone on community development, which I think Janet Cooper has offered to step up, unless anybody else is interested. Otherwise, can we do a voice vote? Is everyone okay with Janet?
Yep.
Yes?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Everybody say aye. Everybody is positive?
Aye.
Yes, aye.
Yes, aye, all right. And also Janet, let's keep going to put Janet on everything, has agreed to take Ted's spot on the Board of Zoning Appeals, unless anybody else is interested. Again, voice vote, everybody say aye if you approve.
Yes. Aye.
Aye. Any noes? I think we're all good with Janet doing that. And then I was thinking that the new council person could go on public services, if everyone's okay with that. And what was the other thing? Oh, Parks and Rec. They haven't really got going and met yet, but maybe the new person could sit on that committee also. Is that all right? All right, so I think everything will be filled then. Jackie.
Yes.
All right, that brings us then to new business, which is ordinances and resolutions. And I think Jackie gets the pleasure of reading those this evening.
Thank you. Ordinance number 22-172. An ordinance amending section 5.18 of the City of Milford Personnel Policy and Procedure Manual categorized as longevity pay for non-collective bargaining employees. Now therefore be it ordained by the Council of the Municipality of Milford, Ohio, Section 1. The Council of the City of Milford hereby amends Section 5.18 of the City of Milford Personnel and Procedure Manual categorized as longevity pay for non-collection bargaining employees. Section 2. Employees with 3 years of continuous service with the city shall be entitled to longevity pay in the amount of $120. Employees with 4 years of continuous service with the city shall be entitled to longevity pay in the amount of $160. Employees with 5 years or more years of continuous service with the city shall be entitled to longevity pay in the amount of $200, plus $40 for each year of service in excess of 5 years. However, employees with 25 or more years of service shall receive a maximum of $1,000. Section 3. Eligibility for longevity pay is determined as of December 1st of each year, and payment for longevity is made in a lump sum in the first pay in December. Eligible employees who have completed a full year of service but separate from the city on good terms before December 1st shall be paid the appropriate rate of longevity with their last paycheck. Section 4. Pursuant to and in accordance with Section 12.05 of the Milford City Charter, this ordinance shall become effective immediately upon its passage by City Council.
Move to suspend the rules and read by title only.
Second?
Ms. Evans?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Ms. Cooper?
Yes.
Ms. Russell?
Yes.
Ordinance 22-172, an ordinance amending Section 5.18 of the City of Milford Personnel Policy and Procedure Manual categorized as longevity pay for non-collective bargaining employees.
Motion to adopt.
Second?
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Ms. Cooper?
Yes.
Ms. Russell?
Yes.
Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Ms. Evans?
Yes.
Ordinance 22-173, an ordinance authorizing a host community agreement with Cascade Southern Ohio LLC for the sitting of a marijuana dispensary and establishment of a community impact fee. Whereas the company located a licensed medical marijuana entity, specifically a medical use marijuana dispensary, as those terms are defined and used in Ohio Admin Code 3796 at SEEK at the facility in accordance with the laws of the state of Ohio and the city of Milford, 401 Rivers Edge Drive in Milford, Ohio, 45150. Whereas the company received Planning Commission approval and a zoning certificate indicating therein the company's desire to provide certain benefits and commitments to the city. And whereas company has prepared the facility to sell marijuana and cannabis products for medical purposes at 401 Rivers Edge Drive in Milford, Ohio, as permitted by the state of Ohio within the city of Milford. And whereas company agrees that its facility will not engage in the sale, cultivation, and/or processing of marijuana for recreational purposes unless it is later legalized by the state of Ohio and/or the United States. Now therefore be it ordained by the Council of the Municipality of Milford, Ohio, Section 1. The company shall make annual payments to the city representing a community impact fee, the annual payment, which is required in order to compensate the city for public safety, infrastructure improvements, and future development. The annual payment shall be 1 1/2% of the total gross sales from the facility for operations. Gross sales means the company's total sales, net of taxes, and discounts applied to all products sold within a given period. Section 2. The first annual payment shall be due on January 15, 2024, known as the initial payment. The initial payment shall be a prorated annual payment calculated from the commencement of facility operations, the opening date, until the end of the calendar year 2023. Section 3. Subsequent annual payment shall be due on January 15th of every year during the term of this agreement or until both parties of this agreement have mutually agreed to modify or terminate the terms of this agreement. Section 4. Pursuant to and in accordance with Section 12.05 of the Milford City Charter, this ordinance shall become effective immediately upon its passage by City Council.
Move to suspend the rules and read by title only.
Second?
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Ms. Cooper?
Yes.
Ms. Evans?
Yes.
Ms. Russell?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Mr. Redmond?
I recuse myself.
Ordinance 22-173, an ordinance authorizing a host community agreement with Cascade Southern Ohio LLC for the sitting of a marijuana dispensary and establishment of a community impact fee.
Motion to adopt.
Second?
Ms. Evans?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Mr. Redmond?
I recuse myself.
Ms. Russell?
Yes.
Ms. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Sorry. Ordinance 22-174, an ordinance appointing Brian E. Pacheco as Law Director for the City of Milford and authorizing an agreement with Dinsmore and Scholl LLP for legal services associated with the Law Director. Whereas the Charter of the City of Milford provides that the Law Director shall be appointed by City Council, and whereas under the Charter, the Law Director is the legal advisor and attorney for the city. And whereas City Council sought proposals to fill the position of Law Director and interviewed prospective candidates for this position. And whereas City Council has determined that Brian E. Pacheco, a partner with the law firm of Dinsmore and Scholl LLP, meets the requisite qualification required under the Charter. And whereas Council wishes to provide for the terms of the Law Director's services, including payment. And whereas Mr. Pacheco desires to serve as Law Director under the Charter and the terms of this ordinance. Now therefore be it ordained by the Council of the Municipality of Milford, Ohio, Section 1. Council hereby provides the compensation of the law director for the services outlined below, effective September 20th, 2022, and ending December 31st, 2022. The law director and council shall, upon mutually agreeable terms, provide for compensation after December 31st, 2022, at a later time. Section 2. The law director shall be paid $265 per hour for services performed beginning on September 20th, 2022, and ending on December 31st, 2022. Payment shall be made on a monthly basis. The services to be performed under the basic salary provisions by the law director are as follows: attendance at all council meetings or for such other meetings as requested by council or the manager, acting as law director as provided under the charter, preparing legal opinions for council and the manager, attendance and prosecution in the mayor's court if necessary, legal advisor to various boards which would include attendance at their meetings when requested, prepares, reviews all ordinances and resolutions to come before council, reviewing and approving all contracts, deeds, leases, releases, franchises, and other legal documents entered into by the city, decides major legal questions in litigation, claims, leases, and contracts, land titles, and related legal matters, represents the city in legal matters, brings suits necessary to be instituted by the city, and defends the city in suits brought against it, and handles appellate litigation, appointing a deputy law director when necessary, civil collection of public utility collections and taxes, any litigation involving the city except mayor's court, special tax court sessions, representation of the city before a government board or agency, and handling mayor's court appeals or Bureau of Motor Vehicles points appeals at municipal court. Section 3. Pursuant to and in accordance with Section 12.05 of the Milford City Charter, this ordinance shall become effective immediately upon its passage by City Council.
Move to suspend the rules and read by title only.
Second?
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Ms. Cooper?
Yes.
Ms. Russell?
Yes.
Ms. Evans?
Yes, did you have in there that he has to read the ordinances for you next time? So you don't have to read them.
Oh.
Yes.
Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Ordinance 22-174. An ordinance appointing Brian E. Pacheco as law director for the city of Milford and authorizing an agreement with Dinsmore and Scholl LLP for legal services associated with the law director.
Motion to adopt.
Second?
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Ms. Cooper?
Yes.
Ms. Russell?
Yes.
Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Ms. Evans?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. That brings us then to our next order of business, which is to swear in our new law director. And Chief Jamie Mills is going to do that for us. So welcome, Mr. Pacheco. Welcome.
For me, but fortunately, I've seen your predecessor do this dozens of
Yes, 40-some years worth of times.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chief, I appreciate it.
Repeat after me. I state your name,
I, Brian Pacheco,
promise and swear
promise and swear
to support the Constitution of the United States
to support the Constitution of the United States
of America,
of America,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Charter of the City of Milford,
and the Charter of the City of Milford,
and to faithfully, honestly, and impartially discharge the duties
and to faithfully, honestly, and impartially discharge the duties
of Law Director
of Law Director
to the best of my abilities, so help me God.
to the best of my abilities, so help me God. Thank you. Thank you, Chief.
I can move over. Move on over, Sandy.
After you sign, do you want to come up and take your spot?
Honored, Mayor. Thank you.
Great idea.
and welcome.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that takes us to old business. I don't believe we have any, correct?
I just have a question, Jamie. The Driven project, what is the route, or where can people get more information for standing on the route?
For more information, tune into your news networks Sunday morning. I will be on there probably around 6:30 or 7 a.m., probably going for it. But the route will leave Milford on the Parkway, get on 275, and come back that same way. So there's not a lot of opportunities in Milford.
Okay.
I meant to reach out to somebody at Finley Ray. It sounds like they have some games this weekend, so I don't want to offer up parking that's not
Yes,
ours.
right.
But, use your best judgment if you can find a spot somewhere on the Parkway. If not, if you want to make the trek down to Union Terminal, they're asking people to be there no later than 9:30 with your signs of support.
Okay.
That's the primary viewing spot for that.
Perfect. All right, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Anything else? All right, thanks again for all of our council candidates for attending. And again, we'll make that selection at the next meeting, and all of our other guests. Thank you for attending. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Mayor Evans?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Russell?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Ms. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, congratulations.